I'm working with a 4mm crochet hook, a medium weight yarn in color mustard, 2 stitch markers, a darning needle, a measuring tape, and a pair of scissors. We begin with a slip knot, then chain 5, after the 5 chains, pull out your hook and insert it in the first chain, then insert it back into the 5th chain, and then we're going to continue chaining until we get the hip measurement of the skirt. Ensure that the measurement is a multiple of 7, or the number of chains are a multiple of 7, or a number that is divisible by 7. So this is 5, so I'll do 6 and 7. Then again I'll count 1 up to 7. That's another 7. Then I'll do another 7 chains. Then I'll keep working till I get my hip measurement. At this point, I have 112 chains, and I'm working a hip measurement of 38. And when you're measuring the hip measurement, you need to stretch out your work slightly. So now I'll measure from this point, and I need to get to 19 inches when I stretch this out, like that. And because I'm done with I've gotten to my hip measurement, I'm just going to pull the second loop through the first loop to complete that first round, or to complete the chain. Then we're going to begin with a chain 2, then yarn over and insert our hook into the very first chain and work a double crochet. A double crochet is yarn over, insert your hook into the chain, yarn over, pull up a loop to get 3 loops on the hook, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. In the second chain, yarn over, place a double crochet into the next chain, a double crochet into the chain that follows, into the next chain, and then we're going to go on, place 1 double crochet into every chain all the way around. Now at the end of the first round, I'll have 112 double crochets. That is, you should have the same number of double crochets as the chain that you've started with. Make sure that your chain is a multiple of 7. So now I'll keep going all the way around, then I'll be back once I get 1 double crochet into every stitch. The chain 2 does not count as a stitch, so do not count it. I'm in the last chain, and I'll place my last double crochet there, and that's my 112th double crochet. To complete the round, we slip stitch on top of the first double crochet that we did, and that's the end of round 1, row 1, whatever you want to call it. So now we're going to chain 4. So that's 1, 2, 3, and 4. That will act as our first double crochet plus 1 chain, then yarn over and insert our hook into that first stitch and place a double crochet. So we're going to create a double crochet V stitch, that is a double crochet, chain 1, another double crochet into the same stitch. Next we're going to chain 5, then yarn over, skip 6 stitches, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, and work into the 7th. Place a double crochet V stitch, that is a double crochet, chain 1, into the same stitch, place another double crochet, chain 5, yarn over, skip 6 stitches into the 7th, work a V stitch right there, double crochet, chain 1, another double crochet, chain 5, yarn over, skip 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, work into the 7th with a V stitch, chain 1, another double crochet. And this is a pattern that we're going to repeat all the way around in row 2 till we get to the end. At the end, you should have 6 stitches remaining. That is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So now you're going to chain the last 5 chains. Then you're going to skip all these stitches and work onto the chain 3 that we did at the beginning. So count 1, 2, and 3. And slip stitch there to complete round 2. Then we're going to slip stitch into this chain 1 gap in order to begin round 3. Into that gap, chain 4. That's our first double crochet plus 1 chain. Then insert a double crochet into that same gap. So we are not turning from this point, we're just going to be working in rounds. Then chain 5, skip over to the V stitch and work another V stitch on top of the chain 1 in the V stitch, like that. Chain 5, work a V stitch, chain 5 again, skip and work the V stitch, chain 5, then continue with the V stitch. This is what you should be getting right now. So now just continue all the way around with the V stitch and the chains. At the end, you're going to chain your last 5 chains, then do a slip stitch onto the chain 3. So 1, 2, and 3. Slip stitch to complete round 3. Then slip stitch into the chain 1 gap to start round 4. Chain 4. go back into that chain 1 gap with a double crochet, then chain 5, double crochet V-stitch into the previous double crochet V-stitch. Then we're going to repeat to the end. From this point until we get a total of 10, I'll keep repeating round 3 till I get 10 rounds, and then I'll be back. I had mentioned earlier that I was going to work 10 rows, but then I've gone ahead to work 15 because I felt like if I worked 10, then the slit will be too high up, and therefore I've gone up to 15 rows. That is 1, this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. It's actually 14. Let me do the 15th row, and then after that I'll show you what to do next. I'm coming to the end of the 15th row, and to complete I'll do the slip stitch on top of the chain 3, then slip stitch into the chain 1 gap, chain 4, and turn. Now from this row, which will be our first row, we're going to be turning. So after turning, work a double crochet into that chain 1 gap, then chain 5, skip over to the V-stitch and work a V-stitch. Then continue with the pattern till you get to this point, and I'll meet you there, show you how to complete this first round after the slit. So now chain 5 at the end, but instead of completing into this chain 3 like we were doing, we're going to do a V-stitch, another V-stitch into this very first V-stitch that we did. So do a double crochet, chain 1, and another double crochet right there. So now we have 2 V-stitch into that same chain 1 gap, but then we'll not connect because we are leaving this space for the slit. Now chain 4 and turn to begin row 2, then work into that chain 1 gap with a double crochet, and now this is what we're going to have. There's an opening there for the slit. Chain 5, work into the V-stitch, do another V-stitch there, V-stitch, then keep going to the end of row 2. At the end, we're going to place a V-stitch into the last V-stitch. And now you can see the slits is starting to take shape right there. And now from row 3 until we get the full length of our skirt, this is how we're going to be working. So after that last V-stitch at the end of row 2, we're going to chain 4 and turn to begin row 3, and we begin row 3 into that first gap with a double crochet, just like that. Then chain 5, then V-stitch into the previous V-stitch, then continue to the end. So round 3 and all the other row 3 and all the other rows will be the same as row 2. So now keep repeating row 2 until you get to the full length of your skirt, and I'll meet you there. So right here, I'm done with the skirt, and I've done a total of 48 rows from the part where we started creating the slit all the way down. That's a total of 48 rows, plus the 15 that I had done at the beginning. That gets me to a total of 63, and I've gotten to my full length. When you're measuring the full length of your skirt, you do not stretch out. So from the top, or from the waist area, going all the way down, you're going to measure without stretching. And when I do, I'm getting to a length of 39, which is the exact length that I wanted to get. So now at that point, I'll just chain 1 and cut off the yarn. So from here, chain 1, get your pair of scissors and cut off the yarn, pull through and fasten, and then you're going to weave in that end. Then the final thing that we need to do is on the top part of the skirt, I'll reconnect the yarn at the waist area from the beginning. Connect the yarn right there. And chain 1. So chain 1 and then go back into that space with a single crochet. I'm going to work in between the double crochets. So right here, work a single crochet into this space between the double crochets, another single crochet and another one. Then I'll go all the way around with one single crochet into every gap between the double crochets. I'm at the end, so I'll slip stitch into the first single crochet, chain 1 and cut off the yarn. Then I'll get the darning needle and weave in that end. Then I'll weave in the one at the bottom. Now this one is a bit tricky because we do not have stitches, but this is what I do. I just go into the stitches one at a time. Just like that. Then finally I can cut off whatever remains. So the two ends are woven in. So now we have the waist area. Next we'll do a strap to attach to the waist area, and I'm going to do that while doubling my strands. Begin with a slip knot and chain 200, between 200 and 250, whatever fits onto your waist. I have my chain ready, so I'll just cut off the yarn, pull through, fasten, get the yarn needle, put the strap through. Then you're going to get your skirt, and while holding it like this, you need to determine the middle part of, this is the middle part of my front. So right there, insert the strap like this and just weave it in onto the waist. So from the inside I skip 2 double crochets, from the outside I skip 1, then we have 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, and then I'll go all around. So now this strap draws the waist together like this so that it fits correctly onto your waist. Now on this end, just put a knot on each of the ends, ensure that the knot is close to the stitches like that. Then another knot on the other side, and cut off the ends. Just make sure that you're not cutting too close to the knot. And at this point we are done with our skirt. So thank you so much if you stuck around to the end of the tutorial. If you enjoyed it, leave a like, a comment Don't forget to subscribe if you're not subscribed, and click on the notification bell too so that you get notified every time I upload a tutorial. See you in the next one.